Hey everyone, this is Carmine. Welcome back to another video. Recently we did an article on our blog where we interviewed 19 marketing experts to get their input into what they think is the best strategy for law firms right now. And we interviewed 19 of them, and while you can read that full blog post in the description, we did want to make it into a video. And all of these experts are going to share different strategies that will help you drive more traffic to your website. They'll help you generate leads, they'll help you drive more revenue, and also get ahead of the competition. So without further ado, jumping into it, number one was David Reicher from legaladvice.com, and he recommended infographic marketing for law firms. And he said infographics are an excellent way to increase traffic for law firm websites. It is important when creating an infographic that the content topic is interesting. This seems pretty obvious, but it cannot be underscored enough that the infographic will fail to engage users unless the topic is interesting to the website readership. And something we talk a lot about when it comes to inbound marketing, content marketing, and things like that is the topics you choose have to be relevant to your firm and practice area. So imagine if you're a personal injury lawyer, then all the content you produce, an infographic in this case, should be related to personal injury law, questions, and topics, because that way you attract the right audience, which are people interested in learning about personal injury law. They're going to be your ideal client. They're going to have a higher conversion rate versus maybe you talk about and produce infographics, in this case, just about general law or things like that, where you're going to drive some relevant traffic, but the highest quality traffic will always be directly about your services and what you offer. So when you're making infographics, I definitely agree with David that it should relate exactly to your practice areas. And then he goes on to say, when we begin designing the infographic, I'm careful to instruct the designer to graphically show the audience rather than merely use words that tell the audience with too many blocks of text. And that's one of the big reasons you should be producing infographics and that type of media in general on your website, including in blog posts, is to break up big blocks of text. So you don't want the infographic to be a big block of text, because that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. We do want to have a lot of actionable elements and visual elements, which is what an infographic is all about, right? So I recommend using something like Piktochart or Canva.com. They're two really good free tools that we use all the time at WiseMedia to produce infographics and logos and things like that. But you can use that to quickly speed up the process. But make sure it's visual and use templates and elements and different things like that to make it very visually appealing. I advise a graphic designer to keep the design simple and break up the pieces of the story into segments that can be easily digested at a glance. This is how you create a winning infographic on any topic. And that's a really good point actually from David, because you do want the infographics to be easily consumable. If they're too long or complex where they clash with your law firm's website and design elements, then it's actually going to not be that enjoyable from the end user. So once again, if you use something like Canva or Piktochart, they have a lot of really good templates. So if design isn't your forte and your strength, you don't have to worry about that. All the tools available today will really help you out. And then number two is from Harriet Chan. She's a co-founder and marketing director at CocoFinder, and she was talking about leveraging social proof. And she said, in marketing, businesses try to sell themselves to the people and expect them to make a purchase. However, that's not enough without social proof. People want to buy from real businesses with real testimonies from others with the same challenge and how that law firm helped them solve their case. Because if you're going to spend a lot of money on a lawyer, on a law firm, any kind of service in general or product, you obviously want to make sure that you can trust that business, that the service works, it's going to have that kind of ROI. And naturally, people look for testimonies, reviews, case studies, success stories to prove that whoever they're interested in, your law firm in this case, is actually going to be able to provide that. And all businesses, not just law firms, should collect reviews. Most clients read and utilize the reviews when looking for the best firm to work with. They start searching on Google, Facebook, Yelp, etc. Having strong positive reviews plays a critical role in putting your firm out there compared to other marketing tactics. And the great thing about social proof is you can leverage it everywhere. You can use your reviews, once again, Google, Facebook, Yelp. You can post them on your website, landing pages, your ads. You can have them on social media. You can include them as email content. So it's not just a one-off thing that lives on Google or Facebook. You can be promoting that as a piece of content everywhere. But once again, it just shows that your firm is trustworthy and you have really good services and people can work with you with peace of mind. So make sure that, and I agree with Harriet, that you're generating reviews on a regular basis on all these platforms, but once again, using them as a piece of content on all the channels. Catherine Brown, founder and marketing director of Spy IC, said local SEO. And I love this because local SEO is something we do for all of our clients at WiseMedia. It's something we do for our own businesses as well. And it's probably one of the best strategies, I think, for attorneys and law firms and really any kind of service business. And she said it's important for law firms and attorneys meet with relevant clients, establish a different marketing point by specifying their target audience, and use short, authentic, unique, and clever language that draws the attention of the audience. Now, in order to appear in local search results, they should set up a Google My Business page, make sure their website has local keywords, and the website should comply with the NAP, which is name, address, and phone data. And then it's also mandatory to get backlinks from other websites to build authority and generate positive customer reviews for brand trustworthiness. So the second part here, when it comes to local SEO, what I also recommend is using something like Google's Keyword Planner or Ubersuggest, a free keyword research tool, essentially, and then target keywords that are your city name plus practice area. So it might be Manhattan employment lawyer, North York immigration lawyer. And what's really good about this is when people are looking up those keywords, essentially, it's going to have a really high conversion rate, but low competition, because there's going to be less of those lawyers targeting those keywords. Even if you have a lot of competition, it's still a relatively small pool of law firms and attorneys that are targeting those keywords, right? So what's nice is that there's low competition. Not a lot of law firms are even, doing SEO, let alone doing it properly. So there's low competition in that sense as well. But also, it's a really high conversion rate. People that are looking up that exact city, that exact region, plus a practice area, clearly need a lawyer that can help them in that area. So it's not just someone looking it up probably for fun or no reason. It's actually going to have a really good conversion rate, and that's someone that you can easily get on the phone and close. But I do also agree with setting up the Google My Business. That can help you rank on the map pack, which also appears above the organic listings. Once again, that's something we help with at WiseMedia. If you do want to learn more about that, there'll be a link in the description. And then you can use those same keywords you researched on your website on your Google My Business. And then when it comes to backlinks, you can actually just go claim your Yelp page, Facebook, social accounts, things like that. It's a really foundational, easy way to get some backlinks. And then you can look into guest posting, broken backlink building. There's a lot of other advanced ways to get backlinks. But I think when it comes to local SEO, definitely make sure the Google My Business is up, get the keyword research going, and then make sure you have all your other citations optimized as well. And then Alison Verhalen, CEO of AV Writing Services, talked about blogging. And this is something that I'm all about because I've done a lot of content writing for Neil Patel, Marketo, GoDaddy, big companies. And it's one of the best ways to grow a business organically over the long term. It's definitely not a quick fix, a quick win, but over the long term, it can generate tons of traffic and leads and opportunities that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And she said the number one marketing strategy I recommend for law firms is blogging 2 to 4 times per month. If done consistently, not only does it help your law firm rank for relevant online searches, it also helps you convert leads who find your website by demonstrating your expertise. And that's the great part about it. You're bringing all these people to your website. Once again, as I talked about earlier, with the right topics that are relevant, these are going to be very high converting prospects. But also you show them that you know a lot about your practice area, law, whatever you're talking about, and that helps build trust and authority. When people are looking for someone in a professional services industry, such as an attorney, they want to make sure that the person has the necessary expertise, and a blog is a great way to get that buy-in. 100% agree. The most important step for law firms to take to effectively execute a blogging strategy is to make sure they're blogging at least 2 to 4 times per month, and that they do so on a consistent basis even after that. And it'll take time, so don't expect the traffic to come flooding in right away. Once again, patience is really key when it comes to content marketing, inbound marketing. I know there's a lot of studies that actually show content marketing normally takes about, I think it's 15 to 18 months to have a really good, consistent ROI. And when you think about the nature of search engines, building up social following, an email list, it's going to take a good year or two before it really starts paying off. I'm not saying it won't in the short term or the medium term, but I definitely agree that you have to be patient. You should be doing outbound sales, you should be doing email, social, organic, paid ads as well. As a law firm, you have to hit all of those channels, or else you're going to be missing out on a lot of opportunities, and some of them, like blogging and SEO, can take a while. So of course you do need referrals, you need paid, and those other things to make up for that in the meantime. But once they all start really hitting, that's when you're bringing in massive amounts of clients and revenue. Now, Gresham Harkless, founder of CB Nation, who's actually on one of my other podcasts, pretty similar thing when it comes to local SEO, but he was talking about long tail keyword strategy. And he said for law firms, I would look into creating an SEO strategy that focuses on long tail. SEO is a great lead gen strategy, but it's a long-term strategy. I compare it to building a house or home. When you're able to build a solid foundation in your SEO strategy, I believe it's one of the strongest ingredients that helps out your entire marketing strategy. The opportunities with SEO, e.g. long tail, often come from really knowing your client target and building those avatars. The one tip law firms can take advantage of is doing long tail analysis. This can be done simply by interviewing or asking clients for the things they are searching for. Now, what you need to think about here is one, as I mentioned with the keyword research, where you're essentially doing the city plus practice name, That's essentially what we're doing here with the long tail. You're targeting keywords that have less competition but still a high conversion rate, and they're easier to rank for. But what he also mentions is asking clients what they're searching for. And if you have sales calls, any kind of recorded data, CRM, what you're going to notice over time is that clients are asking the same questions, they have the same pain points, they're making the same comments, and then you can actually start targeting those keywords on your blog posts, FAQ pages, service pages, and then once again, you're bringing those very highly targeted people to your website. You're giving them good content, good information, you're ranking for those keywords, and it kind of mixes in with the local SEO and a general SEO strategy. But I thought it was a really good response from Gresham because it's something that, once again, not a lot of law firms are doing, but it's such an easy win. So once again, use Google's keyword planner, use Ubersuggest, some kind of SEO tool, find these keywords, dig into other data and information you have on previous clients, and then make sure you're turning those into pieces of content or answering those questions on your website. Moving on to Ellen Toscano, marketing manager of Tenant Law Group. She recommended Yelp advertising. Because of Yelp advertising, we receive multiple inquiries from potential new clients every day. We are a law firm that works exclusively with tenants, and some of the inquiries we receive are for landlord or real estate attorneys. So with the referral list, we're able to still ask for those who reach out to us by sending them referral information and or making a personal introduction between them and the referral source. The majority of our clients are extremely appreciative that a busy law firm takes the time to reach out to them with compassion, care, concern, and thoughtfulness. This creates a long-term relationship with clients and makes them more likely to refer others to our firm as well. So there's a few things in here that I really liked. One, using Yelp advertising. You don't really hear about it a lot. Mostly it's Facebook, Google, organic, the other things we were talking about today. But Yelp advertising is another good channel they can put some advertising dollars into, see if it has an ROI. And that's something you have to do with any channel or strategy. You just got to throw some money into it, test it out, use it for weeks, months, see how it goes. If it's generating a good ROI, if you're testing it and creating experiments and it's working better and better, or you work with an agency like WiseMedia, Profitable Ads, or another, and they can handle it for you, and there's that ROI, then you can keep going. But what I really like too is that she talked about how referrals are a big part of this as well. By actually offering really good customer service and by cross-pollinating the referral lists that they have, they're actually able to create these long-term relationships, get more referrals. So not only are you advertising on Yelp, but you're actually able to provide a really good service in general, and that's going to get you referrals, which is always at the heart of a good law firm marketing strategy. And odds are, probably a majority of your clients are actually based on referrals. So it isn't just about face-to-face, you give a good service and they refer somebody. If you do your marketing and advertising right, you're going to leave that really good impression, and then people are going to talk about it as well. Public relations, or PR, Shiv Gupta, marketing director of Incrementor's SEO services, that's what he recommended. And he said, a robust digital public relations team is an excellent instrument for promoting a law firm. A public relations professional can assist you in building an online reputation that demonstrates to your community that you are a helpful resource that can benefit them when they are in need. A public relations person or team can produce press releases that result in local news outlets covering some of the feel-good cases you've won, or you can contribute guest pieces to websites to promote your knowledge and skills. Maybe there's a story in your local news that you can comment on. They'll set you up with interviews so you can voice your thoughts. These are just a few examples of how PR can play an essential role in legal business marketing. And one website I've mentioned before that I recommend is Help a Reporter Out, or HARO for short. And we use it all the time for WiseMedia to get PR placements. You can essentially answer questions and have your firm's response placed on websites and publications. There's interview opportunities, podcasting opportunities. You can get placed in books, and it's completely free. They essentially email you 5 times a week, 3 times a day, so quite a bit. You can have your marketing team handle this, but they'll essentially email you usually a dozen or a couple dozen opportunities, and you can respond to them with your information, your response, whatever the exact inquiry requires. And then you can be doing all of this PR directly through there and getting tons of opportunities and press. But I do agree with Shiv as well that you can work with a PR team or company, and they can be getting you placed on Forbes, business.com, and really big websites. They can be writing you press releases if you have any new locations or announcements, and then distributing those all across the internet. Although you can also use Hoth, the SEO company. You can log in directly to, I think it is the hoth.com or just hoth.com, and you can actually either submit a press release or write one yourself, or have them write one, and then they'll share it across hundreds and hundreds of websites that typically have a really good domain authority as well. So that's something to consider. It's a good service we've used before for PR. And then Austin LaRoche, CEO of Attack Interactive, recommended practice area web pages. This kind of goes back to local SEO and targeting the city and practice names, because Make sure your website contains all the information that potential clients would require. You could be able to assist clients in a variety of legal topics at your law practice. Any service you may offer to consumers should be listed on your website and easily accessible to visitors. And what's nice about this is if you make a web page for all of your different practice areas, anything you offer, even like free consultations, that can actually rank on Google itself. And then you don't just have a few pages, you can literally have dozens of pages ranking on the first page of Google relative to your practice area, your city, what you do, and it's just that much more traffic awareness and leads coming in. Ensure that each page on your website has beneficial information about your services and is SEO friendly to attract the visitors you require. Keep in mind that legal firm services extend beyond your immediate area. You'll have a higher chance of ranking highly for these terms if you choose keywords specific to your location and the locations you serve. Once again, making sure that when you do that keyword research, you're targeting your city because it's much easier to rank for and has a higher conversion rate. Laura Reich is a Pinterest powerhouse who helps high-performing business owners use Pinterest at scale, and she, of course, recommended Pinterest marketing. And she said, I encourage lawyers to start blogs on their websites and regularly update with content that helps establish them as an expert in their niche and get future clients to know, like, and trust them by adding value, helping them, and enticing them to choose their firm. Then they should share that content with new audiences using Pinterest, which amplifies content and allows evergreen content to go viral long after its initial posting date. I also recommend taking advantage of the new Pinterest features that help the algorithm amplify reach, such as video pins. And Pinterest is really interesting because I remember using it myself for a couple businesses, and the algorithm is really friendly to accounts that are active. So even if you just made a few pins every day, 3 to 5, or even less than that, if you're just on there every day publishing content, and once again, if you're blogging, you're making videos and whatnot, you can just turn those into infographics or some kind of content that works on Pinterest, post it every day to different boards that are organized to all of your practice areas and different topics, and it'll automatically start increasing your visibility, your impressions, your reach, because you're being active and it wants to reward that. So I highly recommend and agree with Laura that you should be taking your content, turning it into content for Pinterest via canva.com or some tool like that, and then posting it on there on a regular basis. And once again, when you're repurposing content, 90% of the work is done. You already made that initial piece of content. It's finished. It's just about now reformatting it and publishing it on a different channel or Pinterest in this case. Moving on to Kendall Lemon, who is a content and technical writer for Evenbound recommended content marketing, which we've been talking about quite a bit in this video across different channels. And she said, when law firms develop things like blogs, content offers, and case studies, they establish themselves as credible, experienced sources of information. And when users who need that specific information go searching for it, they're likely to read those pieces and choose a particular firm because they were helpful and knew what they were talking about. Once again, if your firm is producing content and another isn't, odds are they're going to go with you because you're the expert, you've been proving your expertise, you're helping them, you're adding value. And there's a ton of data and information and studies out there that show that people across any industry are going to consume content before they purchase anything. And that includes legal services, especially with something that's very important to them, that's very sensitive and expensive. All in all, content marketing is a great way to build trust among your audiences. In order to execute content marketing effectively, though, there are a number of tools and steps law firms can use, but before getting started on any of them, they should develop buyer personas and topic clusters to help guide their content strategy. Now, a buyer persona essentially is a personification of your client. What's their strengths, their weaknesses, their demographics, their questions, their pain points. And you can map this out in a Google Doc, it can be a graphic, but it's something that your team can reference every time it's producing content so they know that they're choosing topics that are bringing in that person and they're helping answer their questions and add value. And then that helps you also with topic clusters, which kind of goes back to what we were talking about with some of the SEO work, is that you want to be targeting topics that are relevant to that persona. So once again, if you're targeting personal injury law, you might then go very niche into all the different subtopics when it comes to personal injury law. And as an expert in your practice area, you'll understand these and your team can help you brainstorm some. But essentially a topic cluster is just taking that general industry, that practice area, and then going very, very deep and trying to find groups of topics that you can create content around. Moving on to Allison Mahoney, founder of a story agency. She recommended speaking engagements and said, I would recommend finding opportunities to write on their area of expertise and then book speaking engagements. For instance, lawyers can publish articles in local law journals, on LinkedIn, or on Law 360. They can also speak on CLE panels. This will open the door to additional promotional opportunities and will also highlight their expertise, which could lead to referrals. By way of example, I co-authored an article with another attorney. From that article, a potential client reached out to me, and I was invited to speak on a panel for the New York State Bar Association for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is pretty awesome. So you can actually see that this actually mixes in both blogging and public speaking, and just shows you that content marketing and all those different things actually lead to tons of other opportunities, and not just kind of the SEO benefit and the awareness, but it can lead to tons of other things, like in this case, public speaking opportunities. But beyond doing inbound and publishing content and just kind of hoping that the opportunities will come to you, I do recommend using websites like Meetup, Eventbrite, anything where you can find legal meetups and events happening, and then actually go pitch those websites and promoters and essentially introduce your firm, your expertise, your background, and then also promote that you want to be a speaker at that event. And maybe you can have other past talks you can reference as social proof. And then Tyler Garnes, CEO of Box Out Marketing, recommends updating your website, which is massive. It's something, probably the main service we do at WiseMedia is web design for law firms. And he says building a website will be the most effective marketing strategy for law firms. It will enable them to connect with their potential clients quickly by visiting their websites. Clients know the law firm's track record, and if they have any queries, they can quickly raise it out to them or answer it by themselves, because the law firm can post FAQs on their website. The law firm should ensure that all the details that a client needs to know are present on the website. They can also post content through blog posts in which a client can assess their capabilities as a law firm. And if the law firm has the means, find a good website developer to maximize their website well and ensure a positive ROI. And so there's a lot of things that go into a good website. There's the FAQs, there's the sales copy, the content, SEO, conversion rate optimization, there's marketing funnels, lead capture, you name it. But I agree with Tyler Garnes that you should probably hire an agency, because they're going to have an experience from A to Z, just creating the website, optimizing it, setting it up in a way that not only doesn't look good, but it's actually going to rank on Google. It's going to generate leads. It's going to increase your conversion rates. You're going to be getting more phone calls and consultations. It's not about a website that looks good, but actually drives bottom line. And I highly agree with Tyler here. Now, moving on with John McGee, managing partner of Web Consolis, he says that you should combine your organic and paid marketing and advertising, which I did mention a little bit earlier. And he said the most effective marketing strategy for law firms is a two-pronged approach that utilizes paid and organic / content marketing. The organic side should include focus on producing informative and valuable website content, kind of like the blog post we were talking about. Backlinking and other SEO best practices should also be followed, of course, but high quality content is what will set them apart. Law firms have an advantage in that they can be as informative as they want with their content, with little threat of users taking that information and using it to do the service or task themselves. Because of course you are the attorney, you're the firm, and you need to actually help them get through their situation or their pain point. They can't necessarily always go about solving it on their own. And that's kind of the great part about content marketing as a law firm, is that ultimately if they do want to solve that problem, that challenge, they do have to reach out to you. He also went on to say, with the paid side, the strategy will focus around qualifying leads to ensure that they're quality, revenue-generating leads. This largely depends on setting up the campaign in a way that identifies each lead and provides a good way to give feedback on lead quality. Now, Facebook ads are really good for this, Google as well. You can generate individual landing pages depending on the practice area and the offer, and then send traffic to those. But I do agree that you need to make sure that when you're generating leads through paid ads, that you're constantly refining it, the sales copy, the landing page, the targeting, because you can be spending thousands of dollars or more and the leads aren't really converting. But when you do find that nice combination of targeting, sales copy, and whatnot, you can put more and more ad dollars into it. And it's also what I do recommend working with profitableads.com or some other kind of ad agency, because what they can do is just handle all of your PPC, your paid ads, from start to finish. You don't have to worry about it. They design them, they set them up, they manage the campaigns, they optimize it, and that way you can essentially just have the ad dollars in Google, Facebook, whatever it is, and then they handle it for you. Darshan, founder and CEO of Solitaire, recommended in-person networking, which I've always recommended for any business, because joining a local bar and networking events is a great way to meet new people and develop your business. You can also generate leads through referrals. Referrals from other attorneys are an excellent strategy to expand your firm's client base and increase revenue. You could even want to meet with them to discuss and evaluate their law business marketing techniques, and you can essentially learn from them. So it isn't always about just going to these events and getting clients, but actually forming partnerships and business, new ventures and things like that, getting referrals, referral partnerships. So always be open to new opportunities. And one thing that I've always loved when it comes to in-person networking is going to events that sometimes are a bit out of your industry, because then there's no competition And it's often where the best networking happens, where you actually cross-pollinate different industries. So don't always go to just events that are related to your exact practice area. Expand into different ones. You might not actually realize that some of those other events and industries are going to generate you more leads and opportunities. But as for anything, make sure that you're testing it out, you're going to different events and whatnot, and seeing what generates the best results. Because he even said you should establish a referral relationship with other law firms in the area, spend time shaking hands and mingling with your fellow lawyers on such occasions. Attending community activities to meet potential clients is also a good idea. So just being active in the local community, networking, volunteering, public speaking, a lot of the things we talked about you can actually do in your area itself, and they can grow your firm's name that way. So not only are you growing nationally, you're taking over the Google SERPs, but also you're in person and you're creating that really good impression that way. Now, Cher Estrin, CEO of Estrin Legal Staffing, recommends promoting your staff and your team members and the people that actually work under you, because what I see works tremendously is firms that advertise their support staff. If clients knew the backgrounds of many of the paralegals and law clerks that work for them, they would not push back when a paralegal is assigned to the matter. They would begin to request paralegals. If clients knew the backgrounds of many of the paralegals and law clerks that work for them, they would not push back when a paralegal is assigned to the matter. They would begin to request paralegals to save time and money, thereby pushing the lower level assignments down to the lowest competent level, and it eases their fears that a real attorney is not doing the hands-on work. Now, one way you can actually do this, we do it all the time at WiseMedia for when we're developing websites, is either on the About page, or if you make a separate page, have profiles for everybody that works for your company. Have their headshot, have their name, their position, and then maybe a little bit of a bio. It can be like a drop down or something that expands, where essentially it goes over their expertise, cases they've won, their education, and you essentially promote them. And you show that it doesn't matter if they're a paralegal and they're not that high up in the company, they can still help you with your case and generate really good results. So you can promote them, you can even highlight them on social media. Maybe every week, every month, you have some kind of employee of the month, or you just make it into a piece of content where you say, hey, here's a person from our company, here's their background. You can do it on Instagram, you can make a video of it and put it on YouTube. But I agree with Cher that you should be promoting your support staff and even having them share the content you create on their channels to expand your reach that much. Tyson Stevens, founder of EduRef, recommended social media, and it doesn't matter if it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. He went into that it has a great deal of clout and influence. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn are just a handful of the social media powerhouses to keep an eye on. But one thing that I like that he recommended is also they need to do not only a LinkedIn page and Facebook profile, but a Facebook advertising campaign. So like we talked about earlier, it's mixing the paid side and the organic. But also what's going to happen is as you engage on these, you share content, you put advertising dollars into them, what you're going to find out is the 80-20 rule comes into play. Maybe 80% of the results are coming from Facebook and LinkedIn. And in that case, you double down, and that's where you start promoting the most content, putting the most ad dollars. You still keep those other accounts and you promote content and whatnot, but most of your effort and budget should go into those couple of accounts and channels that are actually getting you the real bottom line. But you do need to make sure that you're on every single channel. They're constantly changing, they're constantly updating, but everybody's using them. And that includes your ideal client is somewhere on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, one of these, and it's a really good way to find your firm, especially if you have an optimized page with good keywords, SEO, you have good content on there, and you have good reviews. That's going to help people find you, but also convert them. Moving on to Eric Carroll, marketing advisor at Surfshark, recommends online review generation because clients will begin to submit reviews of your organization once you have an established online presence with detailed profiles, Facebook, Google, Yelp, those things. Take the time to read reviews and consider why you could have a poor one when reviewing your law firm marketing strategies, because there's always something that can be done better, and reviews are really important. In a 2019 Legal Trends report, it was discovered that when looking for a law firm, potential clients do a lot of research, and one of the first places they look is online reviews. Not a surprise. And a few poor reviews won't damage, but if you have a long history of complaints, clients will begin to avoid you now. It doesn't matter if it's Google, Facebook, Yelp, you will get some bad reviews here and there. It's unavoidable, but you can minimize them by responding to them in a really professional and positive manner. So when a prospect does come along and they see that you have that 1-star review on Google, but you have many other 4- and 5-star reviews that outweighs it, but then when you did get that negative one, you responded to it in a professional way and you tried to help them. That's going to say a lot about your firm. Then we have Alexandra Tanya, co-founder and creative director of Miss Amara, and she recommends legal directories. Now, when it comes to web marketing for law firms, legal directories are a terrific resource. FindLaw and Justia, for example, receive billions of monthly visitors and score highly in Google searches. By becoming listed on these sites, you may use their traffic to your benefit. So instead of getting those monthly millions of views to your website, you can actually leverage it on another. And citations are an important part of your Google and other SERP rankings, and having citations from high-ranking sites can boost your site authority. So getting listed on these directories also gives you really good backlinks. Legal directories are a low-cost technique of internet marketing for lawyers that can provide a lot of value. Some of them also provide other marketing options, such as contributing to Q&A sections. I know they do website design. They can help you with email, social, getting reviews, tons of them. But really the main service here and what we're looking for is the legal directory listing itself, because if you're listed in this legal directory, it gets you leads, it gets you referrals, it gives you a backlink, which is really good. But if they do want to help you with some of the other marketing services and you want to invest in those, it doesn't help, or it doesn't hurt either. And then last but not least, Brian Dean actually contributed to our article, and he's a founder of the search analytics platform Exploding Topics, but you actually might know him from Backlinko, the SEO blog and company, and he said that we should be engaging in online communities because many people are seeking answers to legal questions, and they begin their search on Google. Answering questions in the form of blogs on a regular basis can help you win early leads, but make sure to both answer the question in plain English, not legalese, and emphasize the issue's complexity and conditions. The issue's complexity and interdependencies encourage the reader to contact you, because if you're talking about a really sensitive legal issue and then you propose that you're a firm that can help them with that, well, of course they have to go to you to solve that challenge, and that pain point is complex, and they need to get that solved quickly in a lot of cases. And then finish it with a personalized call to action that connects to your contact form or something similar. This could just be as simple as saying, schedule a free consultation, learn more about our family law services, whatever it might be. So make sure that if you're engaging on Quora, Facebook group, LinkedIn groups, if you're publishing blog posts like he says, it always ends with some kind of CTA to something that gets them closer to your services. Well, that does sum up the 19 legal marketing experts and their input into what the best legal marketing strategies are right now, but I do highly recommend going into the description and reading the full blog post where you can see a little bit more into the strategies and what they recommend. There's actually some more information in there you can get on any of those strategies. We also have a podcast you can listen to, a free legal case study, all of which can be found in the description, so make sure to check that out. And also make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel, if you want to see more legal marketing videos in the near future. Hope you're having a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.